guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about the Morgue Shift. It moved when I wasn't looking. I never thought that it would happen to me. It has happened to other people, but they were different circumstances than what mine is. So for those of you who don't know, the Morgue Shift is basically where your body decides that it wants to transition from being awake to being asleep, and it kind of forces you into a state of sleep paralysis, but you are conscious. I was 23 years old at the time, and I had no idea that this could even be a thing. I thought that sleep paralysis only happened to people who were either extremely exhausted or sleep deprived, and I was neither of those things. It all started with this really weird dream. I was driving through these winding roads in the mountains, and then out of nowhere, bam, there's a dead end. And then I wake up and I instantly feel very disoriented. And then it hits me like, oh crap, I just had sleep paralysis. But I wasn't asleep. I had just woken up. I remember thinking like, how can I have had sleep paralysis if I wasn't asleep? This experience completely shattered my understanding of what sleep paralysis is and what causes it, because I always understood sleep paralysis to be something that happened when your brain was trying to transition from being awake to being asleep, or from being asleep to being awake. And I clearly wasn't doing either of those things. I was wide awake and yet I couldn't move. And the scariest part of it all is that I knew exactly what was happening. I knew that I was having an episode of sleep paralysis, but I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I couldn't even blink. All I could do was lay there and think about how I was gonna die. Because in my mind, I was trapped in this endless loop of time. I was stuck in this position where my body was paralyzed, but my mind was running wild with thoughts of what could go wrong. Have you heard so many stories of people who have experienced sleep paralysis and have been so scared that their minds have tricked them into believing that there is some sort of monster or entity that's sitting on their chest preventing them from moving? I thought that that was just a myth or some sort of legend. But now I know better, because during that time where I was stuck in my own head, I was convinced that there was something sitting on my chest holding me down, not letting me move. I was trying to wiggle my fingers. I was trying to wiggle my legs. I was trying to wiggle my arms. I was trying to do anything that I could to try and escape this situation that I was in. I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying, and then finally I got my arm to move a little bit, and then after I got my arm to move, then I got my whole body to move, and I sat up in bed and I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, am I dreaming? Am I awake? Like, what is going on right now? So I got out of bed and I walked to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I was like, did I just have sleep paralysis? I don't understand what just happened. Like, why was I paralyzed, and why was I thinking these scary thoughts, and why did I just get super scared? For no reason. I didn't realize until much later that that's kind of the point of it. You're not supposed to realize that you're having sleep paralysis while you're in it. Because if you do, then it's gonna make everything so much worse. See, the truth is that when you're having an episode of sleep paralysis, your brain isn't actually tricking you into thinking that there is something on your chest holding you down. Your brain is literally trying to protect you by making you believe that there is something on your chest holding you down. Because if you didn't believe that, then you would panic and you would run around your room and you would be completely vulnerable to whatever might be in your room at that moment. And obviously we want to avoid that at all costs. We want to avoid being nakedly vulnerable in our own homes while we're sleeping. It's just asking for trouble. But when you're having an episode of sleep paralysis, your body is trying to keep you safe. It is trying to keep you in a vulnerable position so that you don't do anything crazy or stupid that could put you in danger. But the problem is that when you're having an episode of sleep paralysis, you don't know that that's what's happening. You think that you're literally dying. You think that you're trapped in this horrible, horrible situation that you can never escape from. And it's so terrifying. For me, it was like being in prison. Like I was in a prison of my own body and there was no way out. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was lay there and think about how terrible my life was and how I was never gonna get out of this situation. And then finally, after what felt like hours and hours and hours, I was able to move again. I got out of bed and I went to the bathroom and I splashed water on my face and I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, did I just have sleep paralysis? I didn't know it at the time, but I had just experienced something called the Morgue Shift. It's a really rare phenomenon that happens when your body transitions from being awake to being asleep, and it kind of forces you into a state of sleep paralysis, but you are conscious. Now, most people don't experience the morgue shift. It's usually only experienced by people who are going through something really stressful in their lives. I was going through a lot of stress at the time. I was going through a divorce, and I was also going through the loss of my parents. Both of my parents had passed away within the span of 6 months of each other, and I was really struggling to cope with that. It turns out that the morgue shift is kind of like a coping mechanism for your body. When you're going through a lot of stress, your body will sometimes force you into a state of paralysis so that you can't do anything to make things worse. For example, if you're in a car accident, your body will sometimes go into shock and you won't be able to move. That's because your body knows that if you start moving around, you could get hurt worse. For me, I think my body went into the morgue shift because it knew that I needed some time to process everything that I was going through. I was in a lot of pain and I was in a lot of shock. I think my body just kind of shut down for a second so that I could take a break. When I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. I looked like a zombie. My eyes were blank. I was totally dissociative. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, did I just have sleep paralysis? And that's when I realized that I wasn't alone in this experience. There are other people who have gone through this. It's not just me. And if you're going through something similar, please reach out for help. Talk to someone about what you're going through. You don't have to go through this alone. I know it's hard, but please try to find someone to talk to. It could be a friend, a family member, a therapist, anyone. Just please don't keep it all bottled up inside. That's not healthy and it's not going to help you in the long run. It's important to let your emotions out. It's important to cry if you need to cry. It's important to scream if you need to scream. It's important to laugh if you need to laugh. Just let your emotions flow through you. Don't bottle them up inside. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.